This isn't the market that rewards comfort. It rewards clarity, preparation, and action. Because like in Interstellar, the collapse doesn't look dramatic. It looks slow. It looks like waiting one more year. It looks like maybe next month. But by the time you realize what it cost you, time already took it.
So if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking about buying or you're stuck in indecision, here's your next steps.
You know, the movie Interstellar isn't a movie about the end of the world. It's a movie about something worse.
Well, we used to look up in the sky and wonder at our place in the stars. Now we just look down and worry about our place in the dirt.
A world that is still standing, but no longer works. People still wake up. They still go to work, still drive to school. But in the background, the system is collapsing so slowly that no one sees it as a collapse. They just call it the new normal, and that's housing.
Why is the payment so much higher than before?
It's just the way the numbers work now.
Yeah, and in Interstellar, the Earth becomes unlivable, not because it explodes, but because it becomes impossible to survive the old way. And that is the housing market right now. Because housing didn't crash and housing didn't recover, housing did something way more dangerous. It quietly changed the rules. And most Americans, they're still playing by the old rules, waiting for what worked before to work again. But affordability, it doesn't collapse like a building, it collapses like oxygen, slowly and then suddenly.
Let's talk about what's actually happening out there, folks. Not headlines, not vibes, not clickbait, just reality. A normal buyer is dealing with rates that change the monthly payment math, home prices that didn't roll back the way they expected.
Why is the payment so much higher than before?
Rates, taxes, insurance, everything moves. This is where it lands now.
Insurance costs that are rewriting the affordability equation. Property taxes and HOA rising quietly year after year. And here's what that creates. People don't feel priced out. They feel squeezed out. And squeezed out people, they don't make plans, they delay.
That's right. And in Interstellar, they land on a planet where 1 hour equals 7 years back on Earth. And it's terrifying because time doesn't just pass, it steals your future.
Time is relative, okay? It can stretch and it can squeeze, but it can't run backwards. It just can't. The only thing that can move across dimensions like time is gravity.
That's housing, because in housing, the most expensive thing you can do is wait for perfect. Waiting doesn't pause the market, it doesn't pause rent or life, it doesn't pause the fact that your landlord can still raise your rent. Your landlord can do anything they want to do. Your household grows, you need change, your cash loses buying power, and the market keeps moving without you. In this cycle, a maybe next year decision can turn into a 5-year setback. Not because you're irresponsible, but because the game is compounding.
And here's the part people miss. NASA and Interstellar is not glamorous. It's underfunded and underappreciated and ignored by the public. But NASA holds the only thing that can save humanity: truth, data, and discipline. In housing, NASA is the boring stuff. Fixed rate debt, conservative underwriting, cash flow math, long-term home ownership, holding power. It's not hype. It's not influencer fantasies. Just boring principles that keep you alive.
And if you've seen Interstellar, you remember the moment that makes everyone's stomach drop.
Make him stay, Merv. Don't let me leave, Merv.
Matthew McConaughey, Cooper, he's trapped behind that bookshelf, and he's screaming, not to the world, but to Murph. He's pounding on time itself, trying to send a signal, trying to change one decision. Don't let him go. Don't let him go, Murph. It's going to be a mistake. Now imagine that bookshelf. It's timeline of your life. And imagine that you are Cooper, watching your younger self delay, hesitate, rationalize, and you're screaming, don't wait, don't delay, don't let fear steal years from you.
If your future self could send you a signal, would you even take it? Let's get factual right out of the gate. The housing market, it isn't crashing, it's restructuring. And what people are feeling isn't confusion, it's math. affordability changes faster than incomes. So if you're sitting there thinking, why does this feel so impossible? You're not crazy, you're early.
Yeah, and here's what changed, and we're going to use numbers, not opinions. First, inflation. Inflation peaked at a 40-year high of 9.1% back in June of 2022. That matters because inflation forced rate policy. Second, it's mortgage rates. Mortgage rates hit a 23-year high of 7.79 back in October of 2023. And here's why that matters. Most buyers don't shop house price. They shop monthly payment. So even when rates move a little, the payment moves a lot. That's why today, with rates settling near a low 6% range, that payment gap has improved. On a $400,000 home loan, the monthly payment is roughly $400 to $450 lower than when we were at 7.79 peak. So if you want a simple explanation of modern housing, the buyer didn't get weaker, the payment math got heavier.
Now let's talk inventory, because inventory controls price. And America has a chronic supply shortage. Analysts estimate that U.S. is short of about 2.8 million to 4.7 million homes, and that's driven by nearly 2 decades of underbuilding. And yes, listings have improved. Active listings have climbed to roughly 977,000 units heading into 2026, about 10% year-over-year increase. But inventory, it still sits around 12% below pre-pandemic averages. This is why demand cooling didn't actually create a crash, because supply never came back. And now we add the biggest force in the market, the lock-in effect.
Yeah, this is where people misunderstand the market. Supply, it stays tight because most people have no reason to sell. According to outstanding mortgage data, about 40.3% of U.S. homeowners own free and clear, no mortgage. Of homeowners with a mortgage, 51.5% have a rate at or below 4%. Only 21% of outstanding mortgages have a rate 6% or higher. That means the majority of homeowners are sitting on a payment structure they will not voluntarily give up. So when buyers say, why won't inventory flood the market? Because the market is handcuffed. And that's why this is not 2008. This is a totally different engine.
So who gets hit the hardest, Anthony? Not just one group, everyone. First-time buyers entering the market, move-up buyers trapped in their existing rate, families who need space but they can't trade for payments, renters stuck watching rent rise faster than savings. And here's the fix, Mortgage 101 style. Fix number 1, stop shopping rate, start shopping strategy. Because buying today can beat waiting for a future drop. Why? Because a rate like 4.8% in 2 years sounds amazing. But if 5.5 million buyers rush back in when rates hit that frenzy threshold, the median price can jump from $415,000 to $485,000 just like that. And now the cheaper rate is attached to $70,000 in more debt. When you do the math, a future buyer at 4.8% is equal to $2,545 payment a month. The buyer today at 6.2, that's $2,540. It's the same. What are we doing? It's more debt, less equity. Why are we doing this? Hey, fix number 2. Winners buy the window, not the headline. And this is why buyers back in 2023 peak were secretly strategic. They bought the lower price point around $390,000 when everyone else said, I'm scared of 7.79%. Now rates are lower and refinancing is possible with a smaller balance. So the truth is the 2023 buyer won the price. 2026 buyer wins by avoiding the coming frenzy. Future buyer loses by paying the premium.
Yeah, and now you understand the real danger. It's not the rate. It's not the market. It's the delay. Because waiting, it doesn't pause the mission. Waiting costs time. And in segment 2, that's where Interstellar turns from a metaphor into a warning.
We need the recorder.
Now we go Interstellar. Because like we talked about on Miller's Planet, we know that 1 hour equals 7 years on Earth. They thought they were making a quick move. In time erased their life.
Yeah, that's right. And here's the Miller's Planet math and housing. 1 year of waiting can set your financial future back 5 to 7 years in what you could have built if you owned. Because in 1 year of home ownership, you potentially gain paid down principal, earned equity, tax advantages. So the damage isn't emotional, it's mechanical. And that's why this market punishes delay more than imperfection.
So who gets hit the hardest by the delay? Renters, first-time homebuyers, families that need stability, move-up buyers waiting for the perfect reset. But here's the truth. Those who delay their entry face a compounding penalty of prices and lost equity that far outweighs any savings from lower future interest rates.
Yeah, let's put numbers on it. Renters, they lose an average of $127,000 in net worth over 2 years, $48,000 in dead rent payments. And first-time homebuyers, they face an estimated $70,000 price penalty just by waiting. As 5.5 million new buyers flood back in when rates drop, bidding wars push entry costs higher. And the median first-time buyer age is already 40, it climbs even further. It risks getting permanently priced out of their own neighborhood because waiting for a 1% rate drop is statistically canceled out if prices rise 8 to 10%, which can happen in a single year during a demand surge. The move-up buyers, they often trade a better rate for worse economics. They wait for 5.5% rates and then up with about a $2,500 payment on a $485,000 loan. Instead of today's $2,500 payment, but it's on a $415,000 loan.
Hey, Anthony, that's the same payment. More debt, less equity, and more risk. That's what you call time dilation.
Yeah, now here's the fix. Because rates aren't your lever, but these 4 things are 100% your lever. And these can swing your payment $500 to $1,500 and your buying power $150 to up to $400,000. Number 1, income documents. You want clean 2-year returns plus W-2s, which can multiply approval odds versus the same income with messy paperwork. Number 2, credit profile. A 680 to 760 mid-score can swing $150 to $400 in lower payments on the exact same loan. Number 3, your debt-to-income strategy. Paying off 1 to 2 small cards or shifting 1 car payment can drop your debt-to-income ratio 3 to 8 points and qualify you for $80,000 to up to $200,000 more in house with 0 income raise. And finally, number 4, it's your payment comfort. Don't base payment comfort on today's rent. Build in 10 to 15% extra stress on purpose. Treat it like a forced financial gym.
Hey, Anthony, so the takeaway is simple. Stop trying to predict the market. Control what you can control. Waiting costs you years.
Yeah, and that's why segment 3 really matters, because the only way to beat the drone loop and to beat the time dilation is NASA thinking, systems, math, and discipline.
It's traditional.
All right, there's a detail in Interstellar that matters more than people realize. NASA isn't the massive, celebrated organization that we see today. NASA is a small, fragmented entity tucked away from normal life, almost hidden from the public. It's not trending. It's not glamorous. Most people don't even know it's still alive. But NASA holds all the things powerful enough to save humanity. A plan, a system, and math.
Yeah, and that's really the point, right? NASA isn't saved by emotion. It's saved by the numbers. And that is Mortgage 101, because the buyers who win in this market are not the ones with the best opinions. They're the ones with the best math.
Hey, most buyers don't lose because of the market. They lose because of the narrative. They got pulled into Dr. Man logic. Fake certainty, emotional confidence, no math. And in housing, that gets you trapped.
Yeah, that guru confidence sounds like, wait for the crash, rates must fall. This is just 2008. You'll know when it's time. It feels smart because it's comfortable, but comfort is not a housing strategy.
All right, let's get factual. 2008 was not a normal downturn. It was a credit quality collapse. And one of the biggest accelerators was risky mortgage structure. Today, that structure is not dominating the market. The Mortgage Bankers Association data shows adjustable rate mortgages were about 7% of total mortgage applications in late 2025. So the modern mortgage market isn't being driven by exploding loans. It's being driven by boring fixed rate debt. Hey, that matters because doom narrative only works if the system has fuel. And this system, it doesn't.
That's right. And here's another stat that kills the crash fantasy. Existing home sales have been sitting near the lowest levels in decades, near 30-year lows, because people, they're just not moving. This is not mania. This is not 2021. This is a market with suppressed movement, cautious demand, and tight flow, which means you're waiting for a Hollywood crash. It ain't going to happen. You're waiting for an event that just doesn't match the structure.
So now we land the plane. NASA in the movie wins because it's disciplined. They don't guess. They don't hope. The model outcomes, the control variables, that's exactly how you win in today's housing. Mortgage 101. You don't build confidence by predicting rates. You build confidence by controlling inputs. Income documentation, credit profile, reserves, the DTI structure, payment comfort margin. That's NASA. That's the boring system that saves you.
Yeah, that's right. And because, when your numbers are clean, you stop needing permission. You stop needing to market to feel warm and fuzzy. You act early. You basically move like a professional. You know what you're doing.
So here's the full formula of episode 42. Segment 1, we talked about the market constrained. Segment 2, waiting compounds against you. Segment 3, the winners build confidence from math, not narratives.
Yeah, and emotional confidence, you know why you're doing it. Financial confidence, you trust the math enough to move. NASA wins, Dr. Mann loses, and in a one-in-a-generation housing market, boring math beats loud confidence each and every time.
Cooper, people couldn't build this.
No, not yet. But one day, not you and me, but a people. A civilization that's evolved past the 4 dimensions we know.
Now it's time for the ever-popular rate tracker. This is the scoreboard. This is where we stop guessing, stop feeling, and we go straight to the data. Because in this market, you don't win with opinions, you win with numbers. Let's check the board.
Absolutely. So let's start the baseline first. January 2026, we now have that month closed out. The 10-year Treasury ended around 4.22%. The 30-year fixed mortgage ended around 6.17%. That's month 1 on the books.
Yeah, and since it's only February, that means we still only have 1 full month of tracking. January becomes the foundation for everything we stack in 2026.
Yeah, and now February 2026, that new data point is here. As of today, the 10-year Treasury is sitting at 4.281%. The 30-year fixed mortgage, 6.17%. So rates held flat on the headline, but the bond market, that moved against us.
Hey, and that part matters because the public sees the same rate, but the market under the hood, it's still fighting inflation pressure, growth pressure, and uncertainty.
Right? So Treasuries moved the wrong way. The 10-year was up 0.046 to 4.281%. The entire curve was up, which tells us the market is still pricing higher for longer, at least for now.
Yeah, now let's revisit what we projected for the full year of 2026.
Again, I was a little more hawkish, especially from you. My forecast was the upper 4s to the lower 5s, roughly 4.75% to 5.25% on a 30-year fixed. If the thesis plays out, I'll be a winner by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen. I was a little more conservative. My projection was a 5 handle, about 5.25 to 5.5% on the 30-year fixed. Lower than today, but not fantasy land.
Yeah, and based on where we both are, we're on track. But here's the key. The bond market has to string together. multiple strong days before lenders pass it through.
So February's update is simple. Rates held to 6.17, but bonds are still volatile, which means don't expect straight line down until the data forces it to do it.
Yeah, and as we go deeper into 2026, we'll keep stacking month by month data to see if we're pacing towards our projections or drifting away and not seeing the light of day.
For now, the mission continues, and the board is live, and the math doesn't lie.
Amelia, your father solved his equation before I even left.
Then why wouldn't he use it?
The equation couldn't reconcile relativity with quantum mechanics. You need more.
More what?
More data. You need to see into a black hole. The laws of nature prohibit a naked singularity.
Romley, is that true?
If a black hole is an oyster, then the singularity is the pearl inside. The gravity's so strong, it's always hidden in darkness, behind the horizon. That's why we call it a black hole.
All right, before we wrap up this mission, it's time for our last segment of the day, Buzzwords Breakdown. Ryan, bring us back to reality.
5 mortgage buzzwords people hear every day, but most people don't understand until it is too late. Buzzword number 1 is the lock-in effect. Anthony, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Ryan, the lock-in effect means most homeowners have an interest rate too good to give up, so they don't sell. Less selling means less inventory, and less inventory means prices stay supported, even when demand slows. It's the golden handcuffs.
All right, buzzword number 2 is debt to income ratio, otherwise known as DTI. Manly, tell us about it.
Hey, DTI is the percentage of your monthly income that goes towards monthly debts. It's not just about can you qualify, it's about what the payment is that you can sustain. DTI controls your approval, your buying power, and what interest rate bucket you fall into. If your DTI is too tight, you don't need hope, you need a strategy.
All right, buzzword number 3 today is seller credits.
Seller credits, they're a tool to reduce out-of-pocket costs, specifically for the buyer, or the buy down to the interest rate. In this market, credits can be the difference between we can't afford it and we just got the deal done. Smart buyers just don't negotiate price, they negotiate terms.
All right, up next, number 4 is conforming versus non-conforming loans. Manly, tell us about it.
All right, Ryan. Hey, conforming loans follow Fannie and Freddie Mac rules, loan limits, documentation standard underwriting, and models. For 2026, the baseline conforming loan limit for a one-unit home is $832,750. And high-cost areas, the ceiling goes up to like $1.249 million and some change. Anything above that goes non-conforming, usually jumbo. Translation, conforming is the NASA-approved mission plan. Non-conforming gives you flexibility, but pricing, underwriting, risk rules change dramatically. So the right move depends on your income structure, your down payment, and your loan size.
All right, buzzword number 5 is refinance opportunity.
Yeah, something we're going to see coming up. Refinance isn't something you hope for. It's something that you position for. The buyers who win long-term, they're the ones who buy the right home at the right payment with the right reserves. So when the market gives an opportunity, they're ready to capitalize. Refi is not a rescue plan. It's an upgrade plan.
That's the truth behind the buzzwords. Know the math, control what you can control, and don't let the noise fly the ship. Manly, back to you.
People didn't believe me. They thought that I was doing it all myself. But I knew who it was. Nobody believed me. But I knew you'd come back.
How?
Because my dad promised me.
All right, that's episode 42, Interstellar. And if you take one thing from this episode, take this. This isn't the market that rewards comfort. It rewards clarity, preparation, and action. Because like in Interstellar, the collapse doesn't look dramatic. It looks slow. It looks like waiting one more year. And it looks like maybe next month. But by the time you realize what it cost you, time already took it.
So if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking about buying or you're stuck in indecision, here's your next steps. Stop asking what the market's going to do and start asking, what can I control? Because the winners in this cycle aren't the ones who guessed the future. They're the ones who built the plan.
All right, if you found value in this episode, do us a favor. Like, subscribe, follow. Send this to one person who keeps saying, I'm waiting for the crash, because this episode might save them from 5 to 10 years of regret.
That's right. And if you want our help, text us, DM us, call us. We'll run the math with you and show you what's real, not hype, not guru confidence, NASA math.
All right, Anthony, before we go, I got an interesting fact for you.
Okay. You're turning the tides here. Okay. What you got for me?
I am. All right. First off, I just wanted to say you're a phenomenal co-host. You do incredible things. The people love you. You're basically the Matthew McConaughey of mortgages. That's saying a lot.
You know, that's the first time that someone referred me as Matthew McConaughey. I don't think I have his same looks and his same Morgan Freeman type, monologue, but keep going. I'm listening.
All right, Mr. Kauai. True Islander question. No Google, no cheating. What's the one Kauai spot locals know where you can see sea turtles almost every day? But tourists always miss it because it's not a big attraction. And what's the best time of day to do it?
That's easy. So if you want to see Honu or turtles, that's going to be in Poipu. That's going to be Poipu Beach or Poipu Beach Park. It's usually in mid to late afternoons, and they pull up exactly where people are lounging in their lounge chair. And it's pretty funny when you see the tourists and they're like, what is going on? Because they just start coming up in droves, and you don't want to touch them. You don't want to be near them. In fact, whenever we see people trying to take pictures and pet them, we have to be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, get away from them. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, it happens all the time in Poipu.
Same thing happens in Yellowstone when they try to pet the bears. Say you might want to not do that.
That's right, 100%.
All right, Anthony. That's why you're elite. Everybody knows everything about Hawaii now because of you. We'll see you next week.
Girl from the heart of Wisconsin to the waves of Hawaii. Manly and Anthony keep it real, not salesy. Breaking down rates and the truth you need to know with a little soul and a little homegrown flow. It's the Mortgage 101 podcast where real talk meets home at last. Manly's got that Midwest soul. Anthony brings that island roll when the market swings and you don't go fast. Tune in, the Mortgage 101.